In 1942, deep inside a tightly controlled European capital, there was a place no one considered dangerous. It wasn't a bunker. It wasn't a stab. It wasn't even guarded. It was a barbershop. High-ranking officers visited it regularly. They trusted it. They relaxed there. For a few minutes, ranks disappeared. Caps were removed, and conversations slipped out quietly between snips of scissors. The barber was ordinary in every way. Middle-aged, soft-spoken, precise. He had been cutting hair for the same men since before the war began. He knew their habits. Who arrived early, who complained, who never tipped. To them, he was invisible. One morning, a senior officer stood up too quickly and nearly collapsed. "Just tired," he said. 2 days later, another appointment was canceled, then another. By the end of the week, 3 men from the same command office were suddenly absent from duty. No announcements, no explanations, just silence. The barber cleaned his tools as usual, folded his towels carefully, and opened the shop the next morning like nothing had happened. No one was watching him, and that was the mistake. At first, no one wanted to say the word illness. Reports described it differently. Fatigue, stress, temporary weakness. But inside the command buildings, the pattern was impossible to ignore. Meetings started late, or not at all. Senior officers were replaced mid-briefing. Orders came down incomplete, then quietly corrected hours later. Doctors were called in discreetly. They worked behind closed doors, away from staff, away from records. No official diagnosis was shared. No statements were released. What worried them most wasn't how the men looked. It was how quickly things were changing. Some recovered in days. Others vanished from duty entirely. And yet, outside the buildings, everything looked normal. Cars arrived on schedule. Guards stood at attention. The barbershop opened every morning. Inside, the barber listened. Not to secrets, but to silence. Appointments were canceled without explanation. Familiar faces stopped coming. Conversations that once filled the room were gone. He washed his towels carefully, folded them neatly, and waited. No one connected the dots. Not yet. The safest places are never guarded. They are trusted. While checkpoints tightened and offices locked down, one place remained unchanged. No extra soldiers, no inspections, no questions. The barber shop. It was considered harmless. A routine, a necessity, a pause in long days filled with pressure. Officers believed danger lived elsewhere, in documents, in radios, in maps. Not here. The barber understood this better than anyone. He had learned long ago that power lowers its guard when it feels comfortable, when a man sits down, when he closes his eyes, when he believes, even for a moment, that he is safe. Years earlier, the barber had lived a different life, a quiet one, ordinary. Then the war arrived, and with it, loss that left no marks on paper, no records, no reports, just absence. He never spoke of it. Instead, he watched. He noticed who stopped coming, who sent aides instead, who suddenly avoided mirrors. He noticed how uncertainty spread faster than orders. And far beyond the city, along distant front lines, something subtle began to change. Commands hesitated. Decisions stalled. Opportunities slipped away. No explosions, no announcements, just moments lost. At exactly the wrong time. The barber closed his shop at dusk, stepped into the cold air, and disappeared into the crowd like he always did. Still unseen, still unremarkable, and still trusted. By the time concern reached the highest levels, the damage was already done. Not visible, not dramatic, but real. Questions began circulating quietly, not written down, not spoken loudly. The kind of questions that only appear when confidence starts to crack. Why were reports delayed? Why did orders keep changing? Why did nothing feel coordinated anymore? Security tightened everywhere, except where no one thought to look. Inside private offices, senior figures spoke in lowered voices. They blamed exhaustion, then coincidence, then each other. Doctors were pressured for answers they couldn't give. Some officials insisted the situation was under control. Others stopped attending meetings altogether. A few demanded transfers, retreats, time away, anything to escape the tension they couldn't explain. Outside, the city continued its routines. Trams ran. Shops opened. The barbershop remained quiet. Too quiet. The barber noticed the fear before anyone else did. Not fear of enemies, fear of uncertainty. Men who once commanded thousands now hesitated over small decisions. Authority remained on paper, but confidence was gone. And when leadership doubts itself, the effects ripple far beyond a single room. Somewhere far from the city, opportunities were missed again. No alarms sounded. No blame was assigned. Only whispers. And whispers, once started, never truly stop. Then, just as quietly as it had begun, everything seemed to slow down. Appointments resumed, but fewer than before. Meetings returned. Shorter, cautious, incomplete. Faces reappeared. Older, thinner, more guarded. The unexplained absences stopped growing. To many, it felt like relief. To others, it felt wrong. The tension didn't disappear. It settled. Like dust after a collapse no one wanted to acknowledge. Officially, the situation was stabilized. Unofficially, no one trusted the silence. Security reports found nothing. Medical files led nowhere. Internal reviews were quietly closed. There was nothing to punish, and that was the most unsettling part. The barbershop remained open, but it was no longer the same. Fewer visitors, less conversation. No laughter at all. Men sat stiffly in the chair, eyes open, hands clenched, listening to sounds that weren't there. The barber noticed how people avoided mirrors now, not because of vanity, but because mirrors reminded them how fragile authority could be. He changed nothing in his routine. Same hours, same tools, same calm expression. Outside, the war continued to grind forward. Slowly, unevenly, with moments that never aligned the way they once had. Somewhere, a decision arrived too late. Somewhere else, an opportunity passed unclaimed. No one connected these moments, but they felt them, and the calm that followed only made the waiting worse. The war ended without ever mentioning the barbershop. No report named it. No testimony described it. No trial questioned it. When investigators later reconstructed timelines, they found gaps. Days when orders overlapped, when authority blurred, when responsibility quietly dissolved. Nothing dramatic, nothing provable, just hesitation at moments when certainty had once existed. The barber was never arrested. Some said he moved on before the city fell. Others believed he stayed, living quietly under another name. There were no photographs, no interviews, no confessions. Only rumors. Years later, historians debated how much small disruptions mattered. They argued about factories, armies, supply lines, speeches. Few talked about trust, about the places people felt safest, about routines that lowered guards, about how power depends not only on strength, but on confidence. One haircut didn't decide the war, but it reminded the world of something unsettling. History isn't always changed by generals or battles. Sometimes it turns quietly, in ordinary rooms, by people no one thought to watch. And by the time anyone notices, it's already too late.